And let's assume that the Israelis believe a red line has been passed and that they cannot afford to allow a country that has said what your government has said about them to possess nuclear weapons. And let's assume that they pass the red line and attack Iran. What is your government prepared to do, and how will you do it?
Well, there are several issues here that need to be addressed. The first is that, after all, Iran is a big country, is a vast country, and is perfectly capable of defending itself. Iran will defend itself. Our hands are not tied. Iran can defend itself. The second issue is, by principle, we do not mix the Zionists in our political considerations, in our political equation. And the third is that, after all, the Zionist regime is threatening Iran. Why is there silence in the world in this regard? The same international community that the lady mentioned, why are they sitting silent in respect to threats against a autonomous country that's member of that community?
Well, but
why should they not condemn it?
To be clear,
please allow me to tell you the fourth point. Why should the Zionist regime establish a red line for the United States government's policy with Iran? Who are these people? Please, someone
this
tell
is not
me
the issue.
who these people
with
are.
respect, it's not the issue they're establishing for the United States government. It's the issue that they may have for themselves. And why do you continue in every conversation to refer to them as a Zionist regime and rather than the state of Israel?
Well, not you personally, but does the United States government, would they accept Iran establishing a red line for the Zionist regime?
Meaning,
there would be yelling and screaming, and that would just fill the world. So what does that mean? One country should establish a red line for another country? What does that mean? I don't understand this.
one thing it means is that Israel believes, because of the things that you have said about them, that you want to destroy them, that if you have nuclear weapons, they believe that you might either use them or they will fall into the hands of someone else. That's a fear they have because of the rhetoric and the tone of your comments about them.
Can anyone decide about others' fates just based on their own opinion? There has been even stronger language traded between the United States and Iran. The Iranians have said repeatedly, the Americans have said repeatedly, yes, the Americans have repeatedly said that the Iranian government must change. And the Iranians have slogans.
Change its behavior.
Sure, but after all, what does that mean? They've said that a radical change must come about, and the Iranians demonstrate against the Americans. Well, these slogans are very harsh. See, after all, we need to accept some kind of rule throughout the world that's even for everyone. Can one country, based on just their own sole opinion, decide and establish a red line for another country and then threaten attacks? When have we threatened to attack the Zionists? We have never threatened them.
You have said you want to drop them from the face of the earth.
Yes. And let me explain. I have explained several times, but let me explain. We say that occupations should be done away with. Warlike behavior should be done away with. Terrorism should be done away with. The killing of women and children should be done away with. The bombardment of houses on top of people's heads in their own countries must be done away with. Has the Zionist regime done anything other than this during the last 65 years? No, they haven't. Well, we say to do away with these things, and we have also suggested the solution. We have said that the solution is that the Palestinian people should decide in a free election for their own country, for their own land. Do you think that if the people of Palestine freely decide, what would happen? It's the same thing that we say. We don't have any quarrels over just words. We have a quarrel over the content.
It's not just Israel. It is not just the United States. It's Russia. It's China. It's some of your friends have all said they do not want Iran to have either a nuclear capacity or nuclear weapons. And that's the same argument that the state of Israel makes.
People must gather in other places and solve this problem. Whenever the United States government decides to change its behavior toward Iran, it will be resolved immediately. And it's interesting that the Zionist regime has more than 250,000 atomic warheads, nuclear warheads, and they have threatened us repeatedly.
But they've never used any nuclear weapons.
And we never said that we were worried. During the 65 years, they have initiated, the Zionist regime has initiated 5 wars. We have not initiated a single war. 5 wars that were perpetrated by the Zionists. Which war did we start?
If there's an attack, by the Israelis, would you consider that? Would you retaliate against the United States if there's an attack by Israel?
Well, by the principle of it, I don't take the Zionist threats serious.
They're bluffing.
I don't even take them we don't even take them into account. I would like to ask you this question. After all, the Zionist regime, who is under whose influence? Who's subservient to whom? The Zionists to the United States government, or the United States government to the Zionists? Which one is which?
For a country you say you don't take into account, you sure spend a lot of time talking about them, including today here in New York. You said that Israel has no historical roots in the Middle East. And the White House has now called that statement by you disgusting, offensive, and outrageous. Would you like to apologize?
Do they have roots? If they have roots, then just say they have roots. We don't have to fight over it. We say they have no roots, and you say they do. We give you reason, so please give us a reason. Back it up by facts. What should I apologize for? This is a technical and scientific fact statement. We say they don't have it for these reasons. You say they have it. Okay, please state the reasons. Well, and nations will listen and choose accordingly.
I want to.
This fight. I'd like to ask you this question. What is the relationship between the United States government and the Zionist regime? Can you please explain that to me? Is it a relationship between 2 autonomous countries? Then why is it that the head of the Zionist regime comes out and says the U.S. government should do this, should do that?
Well, Mr. President,
what is the Zionist regime's role in the United States? What is it really? We are a country in the Middle East, and we have at least a 7,000-year history. The Zionists threaten us. The United States government, instead of condemning them, condemn us. After all, what is this relationship about? This relationship between the Zionist regime. Could someone explain this relationship between the Zionist regime and the United States government? Is this an equal relation? Is this a friendly relationship? Is this a relationship of 2 associates? Who calls the shots? The United States government or the Zionist government? So that we can ascertain all these behaviors.
Mr. President, these are easy answers. They're an ally, they're a friend. One is not subservient to the other, as in most relationships. Whatever Mr. Netanyahu said about a red line, the United States government didn't even respond about that, as you know. So the president has made clear what the relationship is, and every other president has made clear what the relationship is here. The point here is, how do you end this issue that is so troubling to so many people? How do you convince them that what you say is true and eliminate this tension so that there's no misperception about anybody so that you're not saying they're bluffing. How do you get past this?
So we are the ones that should alleviate the misunderstanding.
No,
The Zionist regime is threatening us, so we are the ones that should alleviate the misunderstanding. You see, the problem that I have with the administrators of the United States is right here. Please listen, please. Anyone that's watching this interview. Our problem is not with the Zionist regime. Our issue is with the type of order that's in the world that allows one regime to threaten another country and no one says anything about it. Not that this threat really matters to us. No. Just the fact that they threaten and other people not only say nothing but encourage that. This kind of order is not sustainable. If you want to get to the root of today's problems in the world, it comes back to this sort of order. It's a double standard. It's a single-sided, it's a unilateral and a single-sided kind of order. It is very bad. We would expect this to be corrected. We would expect the United States government to take the first step in rectifying this.